Shadows of Justice by Larry. David Cullen and Garry Welker take on a dangerous mission to rescue their friend Omar Sy and fight against the forces of racism.
David Cullen, a seasoned investigator, and Garry Welker, a former army officer, stood in the grimy alley, their eyes scanning the shadows. A chilling breeze passed, ruffling their trench coats. They were on a mission, one that was not just about survival, but about justice. Their friend Omar Sy had been kidnapped by a group of racist extremists. Oliver was different, a man of colour in a world that had started to colour its lenses with bigotry. David and Garry's mission was to fight this discrimination and rescue their friend. They started by tracing the criminal organization responsible, a group known as the Purifiers. This led them to a deserted warehouse in the outskirts of the city. Entering the warehouse, they found themselves surrounded by silence. The air smelled of stale beer and something else: fear. They moved stealthily, their footsteps echoing in the emptiness. Suddenly, 3 men jumped out of the shadows. They were large, muscled, and had a sinister aura around them. They were the Purifiers. A fight ensued with David and Garry holding their own against the 3. They were seasoned fighters, using their strength and agility to overpower their adversaries. After a grueling struggle, David and Garry managed to subdue the men. They bound them with their own belts and continued deeper into the warehouse. They found Oliver in a makeshift cell, his dignity undiminished by his circumstances. He looked relieved to see his friends, his eyes shining with hope. After freeing Oliver, they found themselves in a race against time to escape before reinforcement arrived. They found a hidden exit thanks to Garry's experience in former operations. They made their way out of the warehouse and into the cool night. Dodging the enemy's reinforcements, they managed to get Oliver to safety. Their mission was a success. David, Garry, and Oliver then worked together to bring down the Purifiers. They exposed their activities to the police and ensured that justice was served. The actions of David and Garry made an impact. People began to question the bias they held and started standing up against racism. It became a movement for equality. After this ordeal, David and Garry chose to continue their fight against injustice. They became symbols of resistance, constantly working to shatter racial barriers. Despite the hardships, they never lost hope. They knew the fight would be hard, but they also knew that it was their duty to fight for equality. They became the shadows of justice. They inspired many to join in their fight against discrimination. Their tale became an emblem of freedom and equality, empowering those who were once oppressed. Their story spread far and wide. People began to understand the importance of diversity and unity, rejecting the notions of superiority and racism. A wave of change started to sweep across the world. Meanwhile, David and Garry continued their mission. They knew the journey toward a prejudice-free world would be long, but they were prepared to walk that path, no matter how arduous. They didn't just fight against racial discrimination, they also worked to tackle other forms of bias and prejudice. They stood against injustice in any form or shape. They became advocates for diversity and equality. Their actions inspired others to follow their lead, driving societal change and fostering an environment of acceptance. As they grew older, David and Garry didn't lose their spirit. They continued to stand against injustice, their resolve unbroken, their spirits unyielding. As they grew older, David and backed by new generations of righteous advocates, they kept fighting for a world where everyone is treated equally, regardless of race, color, or creed. Their legacy continued even after they passed on, inspiring countless others to stand up against prejudice and discrimination, reinforcing the importance of unity and acceptance. Even in death, David and Garry remained a beacon of hope, symbolizing the tireless fight against racial inequality. Their memory lived on, fueling the quest for justice. Their story serves as a reminder that it is upon each one of us to stand up against prejudice and strive for a world of equality. The fight continues, echoing the legacy of David, Garry, and Oliver. They fought not only for themselves, but for all who faced discrimination. Their tale, The Shadows of Justice, continues to inspire and motivate, acting as a beacon of hope for those battling inequality. They fought from the shadows, delivering justice. In doing so, they changed the world, one step at a time. Their fight became a symbol of resistance, a symbol of hope. Even in the face of adversity, they never backed down. They stood tall, their spirits unbroken, their resolve unshaken. They were the epitome of resilience, the embodiment of hope. Their story continues to echo, reminding us of the long path towards equality. It reminds us to remain vigilant, to continue fighting for what is right, and to never lose hope. They were not just warriors, they were bearers of change. Their lives became an inspiration, a guiding light for those who seek justice and refuse to accept any form of discrimination. As we remember them, we remember their fight, we remember their courage, we remember their legacy. They were the shadows of justice forever etched in our hearts. Their shadows continue to stretch across the horizon, reminding us of the fight for justice. Let their legacy inspire us, guide us, and drive us towards a world free of prejudice. In the end, they were more than just men. They were symbols of justice, hope, and equality. Their story, The Shadows of Justice, continues to resonate across the world, inspiring all who hear it. Their legacy lives on, perpetuated by individuals who refuse to bow to bigotry. They were the shadows of justice, and their fight continues, echoing in the hearts of those who dare to dream of equality. They were the shadows of justice, eternally etched in the annals of time. Their tale a constant reminder that in the face of adversity we must stand up, fight, and never give up.